The grocery store, aka my second home, is a tricky place to navigate, and I oftentimes tell you about foods you want to eat, foods you don't want to eat, and how to read the ingredients on the back. But this video is about the top 10 things I never, ever, ever want you to put in your body or on your body. So yes, we're going to cover food and stuff like that, but we're also going to cover mosquito repellent, shampoo, sunscreen, and more, because I don't want these things ever in your household. Less talking, more shopping, and let's go. You know, the guy who invented these K-cup pods actually regrets doing it because he thought it would only be used for the workplace. He didn't realize that every single person and their brothers and mothers would be using it too, creating a huge ecological problem. But one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is there's potential toxins in these pods and cups, because if you look, what's the top made of? It's made of aluminum foil. What's the bodies made of? Plastic. Well, you put these in machines, right? And then it boils the water, which is 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and by the time it comes out of there, it's maybe 205. But the hot water is passing through aluminum and plastic, through the cruddy beans usually, into your cup of joe, into your body. You cannot tell me it doesn't leach out some of the toxins when you're drinking that every single day. I see out of the corner of my eye, they have an alternative here. It's one of these reusable ones, but it's made of plastic too. So if you want to avoid the plastic, which I highly recommend you do, go on Amazon. They make stainless steel filters you can reuse over and over again, because I'm telling you, you don't want to be drinking coffee that has all those leached chemicals that are hormone endocrine disrupting ingredients on a daily basis. Welcome to the aisle that always gives me a headache when I walk down it, because it has all of these detergents and air fresheners, and there's a big reason I get a headache. It's because of these nasty perfumes and fragrances. But one of the biggest issues in terms of toxins in these can be the active ingredient in most laundry detergents. They're almost all going to have it. It's going to be something called sodium lauryl sulfate, or SLES. It's effective. It's effective as can be. It really cleans the crud out of your clothes. The problem is it actually does such a great job. It's a major skin irritant. And I know a lot of people that when they use these name brand laundry detergents, they have major skin issues. But the reason why I call it a toxin is because the SLES or the SLS, it won't say on the actual label, but a byproduct of it during the manufacturing is something called 1,4-dioxane, which is a known carcinogen, and you're washing your family's clothes in there. So you don't want any of that. I'll give them props here at Walmart Supercenter, because they do have one, I believe, Bobby approved laundry detergent here that doesn't have the bad ingredients. I believe this is the one, 9 elements. We got to check. It says citrus scent here. And when we look on the back, oh man, they changed it. Look at that. It says fragrances now. They used to use real lemon oil in that. Let's put that one back. Free and clear, unscented. Let's double check here. There we go. We found it. We don't have the fragrances, and we don't have the SLES in here, or the SLS. The ones I use at home are Branch Basics or Planet. But try to find the ones that don't have that harsh scrubbing agent, because it actually is toxic. And if you walk down here, dishwashing pods. We think about how they clean our plates and our forks and knives, but they oftentimes leave a residue behind. And when you pick up the traditional pod like this, you're going to see two things that bother me. Number one, some of these ingredients are chlorine-based ingredients, and you're going to see those pesky perfumes or fragrances, which are those mystery ingredients. And studies show that almost all dishwashers leave that residue, and then you're literally licking and eating off those bowls and plates that have it. Leilani's making a face like, oh my God, that's disgusting. It is disgusting. So what do? Kudos to Walmart Supercenter, because they have one of the best ones here, 7th generation dishwashing pack here. And you look, the ingredients are not only free of the ones I just said, under the plant-derived fragrances, they specifically call out it's made of citrus, bergamot oil, lavender, orange peel, real deal fragrances that are safe with none of the chlorine-based ingredients. Let's get out of this aisle before my head literally explodes. If you are a longtime viewer of the channel, you know I do not like oils like canola, soybeans, sunflower, and actually there's been a big trend the last year or so on social media, particularly TikTok and Instagram, that people are getting on the train of hating seed oils. But why am I talking about them in the video about toxic things you can put in or on your body? Because when an oil like vegetable or canola makes it to a bottle like this, it's already toxic, and it's actually been processed so much that it has to be deodorized with a special chemical so it doesn't smell rancid anymore. And when they're actually making it from those beautiful canola flours or for them GMO soybeans, they have to put a chemical called hexane. Why would they put that in there? Because a chemical pushes out 100% of the oil from the canola flour or for the soybean. They want profits over people. And then they say later on during the refinement process, they remove that hexane. Well, homie, don't play that game. Between the hexane in there and the fact that this is literally rancid and deodorized, it's toxic to you. And I read a thing recently that about the average person consumes 6 tablespoons of seed oils, whether that's canola, soybeans, safflower, or whatever it is. 6 tablespoons is a quarter cup plus 2 tablespoons. That's a ridiculous amount of seed oils that are incredibly oxidized on top of the fact that they're toxic, and that oxidation is the opposite of antioxidants. It's free radicals destroying your skin cells. So for many reasons, now number one being the toxicity, get rid of these oils. And if a recipe ever calls for canola, soybean, sunflower for baking or for savory, get avocado oil. It's the opposite of these cruddy oils, and it's not toxic. We're talking about so many toxic things for your body in this video. Let's take a quick break because the sponsor of this video is not toxic. It's something I take every single day along with Desi and Rose. It's Seed Probiotic, and you hear me talk about it all the time. But if you're in the market for a new probiotic, my link down below gets you 25% off your first month's supply. And I say it a lot, but I don't care how many fermented probiotic foods you eat. You really need a good probiotic. What does it do? It delivers bacteria all the way to your colon, aka your gut, to help you flourish your microbiome. And we always talk about that your gut is your second brain, but most probiotics don't even work. They never make it to your colon, and the type of bacteria are inferior. Well, the Seed Probiotic for Adults has 24 custom strains of bacteria that survive the tummy acids to make it to your gut to deliver the bacteria that help with poop, with skin health, with immune health, and more. So if you're in the market for a new probiotic, click my link down below. Once again, 25% off your first month's supply and free shipping. Seed is the best on the market. Plastic water bottles and these plastic water filter pitchers. Toxic? Yes, but this is like the filter that we all grew up with. And while the actual pitcher itself might not be toxic, number one, it doesn't work. Studies show that it barely filters out anything. And if you look at the reports of what's in our tap water, it's downright scary. But the filter in there, in addition to barely working, it can breed bacteria and mold over time. And studies show that. And so it's defeating the purpose in the whole place at all. And then when you're talking about water like this, we've talked about this in previous videos, but it's time to stop drinking water out of plastic bottles, whether it's big jugs or small jugs, because what happens? Well, you don't know how long this water's been sitting in there. You don't know how long it's been in transport, what kind of heat it's been exposed to before it gets to the shelf. A lot of this water can be sitting for years in the bottles, and what happens to that over time? The plastic leaches into the water. We're not talking about big shards you and I are going to see by eye. We're talking about nanoparticles and microparticles of plastic that, when ingested, they are found in our byproduct, in our urine, and it's a known endocrine hormone disrupting ingredient, which is why when I leave the house, I always bring my Yeti with me because I don't want my water out of a plastic container. So when it comes to water, skip these containers, and when it comes to water at home, they don't work. They actually breed mold and bacteria. Get an under-counter reverse osmosis water filtration system, or if you don't have room for that, the countertop ones that are really good that I know about are AquaTrue and Berkey, but Berkey's kind of like out of business from what I heard, so go for AquaTrue. And yet another aisle we come to, and I start to get headache. It's because it's this insect or mosquito repellent, something I've actually never really talked about, but very timely for the summer. And 90% of them on the shelf will have the same very bad active ingredient, DEET. And this one is 30% DEET. DEET actually does such a good job because it masquerades you, or like makes you invisible to the mosquito so they don't bite you. The problem is, it could be a potential neurotoxin. It's absorbed into your body, and when you combine DEET with sunscreen, which is very common in the summer, it absorbs even more in your body. And we know that sunscreens that are chemical based can be found in your tissue and in mother's milk weeks and weeks later. You do not want anything DEET related. The one I use at home is from Badger, which makes a fantastic sunscreen too. But just looking right here, this is cool. This is Hello Bello mosquito repellent made of citronella, cedarwood, lemongrass with no toxic ingredients, and it doesn't even have butane that comes out of here. Another good one would be California Baby. And even something like this isn't terrible. This is a natural one made of rosemary and citronella. I don't love the fact that it has 95% soybean oil, which is the carrier, because the soybean is a rancid or oxidized oil you put on your skin, but it's still way better than DEET ones. So drop the DEET, get the clean ones that I don't think they work quite as well, because DEET is some serious heavy stuff, but you don't want those toxins in your body. Check out the ingredients on the back here. We know it is that brand, but it's actually saccharin. We pick up this brand here, and it's actually known as sucralose. And we pick up this brand right here, and it's known as aspartame. There's a massive difference between the 0-calorie sweeteners you use. If you're picking up 3 of the kinds I just mentioned, they're downright horrible for your health, horrible for your gut, and I would consider them in the toxic category. If you pick up the good sweetener alternatives, stevia, pure monk fruit, allulose, those are the ones that are actually good for you and are derived from plants. The more you learn about what these sweeteners are made of, the more scared you should be. And the problem is all sugar-free sodas and the popular stuff that we consume use the really cruddy ones instead of the more expensive but better for you ones. And these sweeteners are not from nature and from plants. They are 100% derived in laboratories from scientists using chemicals that are nothing near real. And the studies show that it's not only horrible for your gut health, which is your second brain, it's horrible for your DNA. A study last year came out that showed it breaks your DNA. And they're horribly addictive because they make you crave more sugary foods and more caloric foods because it's a non-nutritive sweetener. So anytime you see a product that has those, saccharin or aspartame or sucralose, put it back and look for the one made of stevia. But even that is misleading, because this, yes, is pure stevia. But when you pick up stevia in the raw, it's first dextrose and then stevia. So it's sugar and then stevia, which defeats the whole darn purpose in the first point. We don't oftentimes think of the ingredients in personal care products like shampoo, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. Personal care is even more toxic than food, and you're putting this stuff on your body all day long, every day. And you pick up something like this that usually has the commercials with the beautiful ladies waving their hair around, but they never really show the ingredients in here, which is what I'm gonna do right now. Not toxic per se, but the main ingredient in most shampoos is going to be SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. And I've talked about it before, and I talk about it in laundry detergent, but it does such a great job at cleaning your hair that it actually strips your hair and your follicles and your scalp of a lot of essential oil. So if you have sensitive skin like I do, don't get a shampoo with SLS in there. I'll recommend something in a minute. But like most all of personal care products, it has something called fragrances. Think of natural flavors in foods as the biggest lie in the grocery store. Fragrances is the biggest lie in the personal care section. It can literally be made of up to 3,000 proprietary ingredients, and don't bother asking what they are because they ain't gonna tell you. But tests show that they're not only allergens, skin irritants, but hormone disrupting ingredients. And when you squeeze this one out, it comes out blue. How do they do that, right? Well, it tells you right here at the end with blue number 1 and red 33. Artificial colorings are derived from what? Petroleum and crude oil, which has more of those toxic endocrine disrupting ingredients, which is why I put this under the do not use list. There's actually not one I would get here, because even something like this, which doesn't have the harsh scrubbing agents, it'll have the fragrances on here. Something that I use at home and you can get at a lot of grocery stores is called a Cure, which is fantastic, but stay away from these types of shampoos. I see a lot of sunscreen out here at the grocery store. Well, of course, we're in the middle of summer right now. I've made countless videos about this over the years, but most sunscreens are chemical based, and you'll see these active ingredients always. Avobenzone and homosalate and octisalate. These are chemical based ingredients that, yes, are linked to hormone disrupting ingredients, but they always absorb into your skin, and as you reapply them throughout the day, they continue to absorb in your skin, and you'll have those endocrine disrupting ingredients that are found in your tissue for weeks and weeks later. You want to get mineral ones. Now, mineral ones that I know that are the best, that unfortunately they don't have here, would be Badger, Babbo, Think Sport. There is one right here that I grabbed. It's this Blue Lizard Australian one, but it's zinc oxide based, which is the opposite of chemical. It's mineral based that doesn't absorb into your screen, and the other ingredients are pretty solid. So when you go to the beach or pool this summer, avoid chemical sunscreen, get mineral for the win. All right, friends, that is it for the top 10 things that are the most toxic for your body, both on the skin and inside. So shopping around the grocery store is tough, but when you learn how to read the ingredients and you realize what they're actually doing to you, both on the inside and the outside, you're much more educated. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go home and cook some dinner from the grocery store. I leave you like I always do. Hashtag keep on cooking. Mad love and peace. Bye-bye.